So this video is going to be about the distance formula. And so we know the distance formula, it takes into account the x coordinate as well as the y coordinate. So this is x sub 2, not the number 2. And it's important to note that the most common mistakes in the distance formula happen because the subtraction is in the parentheses. So here we have subtraction, but we're adding together the squared values. So there's a couple of things you need to notice here. When we square the value inside the parentheses right here, it's always going to become a positive number. The same is going to happen here for the y values. When we square it, it's being done inside the parentheses. So I'm going to be adding two positive values together. It's very possible when you're working with a calculator that you have an error if you don't put that negative inside the parentheses. If you enter your calculator like this, you're going to get positive 25 here, but negative 25 here. So if you're utilizing a calculator to assist you with the distance formula, it's very important to keep those parentheses in the problem. So how do I know who is x2 and who is x1? This is one of my favorite things to tell students. The first point is x1. The second point is x2. So given a problem, and I'm just making these numbers up so they may not work out beautifully, this would be x1, y1. This would be x2, y2. Now, I know we live in a very digital age, and students a lot of times are working in the math lab and they don't write their work down. This is so important, guys. When you label it this way, it's much easier to not make a mistake. So I have 3 minus negative 1 because I have x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1. If you don't label the points, it's very easy to confuse your x and y values as you're just kind of moving along and plugging in. So I always tell my students, write this out. Now we can utilize our integers to know this is plus a positive. It's a change. So this becomes 4, and notice I'm keeping the parentheses there, and negative 6 squared. So I'm going to get 16 plus 36, and when I add those together, I'm going to get the square root of 52. Now, most of the time we want to maintain accuracy. So depending on what the math lab tells you, you may have to reduce the radical by looking at perfect squares, or you may have to approximate it utilizing a decimal. It's very important for you to pay attention to the directions in the math lab because the math lab is going to specify what you should do. So if I'm, let's say, approximating this and I want an exact value, I know that the square root of 52 is the square root of 4 times the square root of 13, which is 2 square root of 13. So that's my exact value. If I want the decimal value, I need to do square root of 52 in my calculator and then approximate that and round to the appropriate decimal place. So depending on what the math lab is asking you, definitely keep an eye on that. Other places for main mistakes would be when you have minus and negative, and also here, making sure you input the negative inside the parentheses. And again, we live in a very digital age, but there is nothing like pencil and paper, guys. Get your pencil and paper out, keep a notebook for this course, and make sure that you are writing down your problems. It's going to be vital for your success. So I hope you found this video helpful and you feel a little bit more confident on the distance formula.